on? Okay. So the first problem says, it's a three-parter. Which are exponential? If they are exponential, state if they are growth or decay. Oh gosh, state the rate of growth or decay and state the initial value. So let me share with you, as a little note to stick over to the side, that an exponential is something of this form. Okay? So when I look at number or letter A, and it looks like this, do you think that's an exponential? Yes. Because it fits the format A times B to the X. Right? Okay. Now, next question. Are they growth or decay? This number right here is the key. If this number is bigger than 1, it's growth. I want you to think about it for a second, guys. If we multiply something by 1, it stays the same. But what happens if we multiply it by something bigger than 1? It gets bigger. Growth. It gets bigger. What happens if we multiply it by something less than 1? It gets smaller, and that would be called decay. Okay? So, this is a growth problem because this number, the number with the x, it's called the base, the b value. If the b value is bigger than 1, it's going to be a growth problem. Okay, every time. Let's state the rate of growth and decay. The rate of growth or decay, and listen carefully because this trips us up. The rate of growth and decay is how much bigger than 1 or less than 1 we are. So this number is bigger than 1. How much bigger than 1? 0.23. So 23% growth. This number right here is never the percent. You always either see how much more than 1 it is or how much less than 1 it is. And that's your percent. More than 1, less than 1. That's your percent.
Should we just like write
I'm answering all the questions. So this was a yes. It is a growth. And its percentage is 23%. And now I need to know the initial value. The initial value is the starting value, and that happens when x is 0. It's like the y-intercept, it's where you begin. So think about if x is 0, guys, what's anything to the 0 power? You need to know this. Anything to the 0 power is 1. So if I put a 0 in there, this would become 1, wouldn't it? Times 3, what's my initial value? 3. A is always your initial value. In the exponential equation, both of those numbers are very important. A tells me where I'm starting. What is my initial amount or value? B tells me if I'm growing or decaying. Okay, let's look at number 2, or B. Does this fit the exponential model? Yes, that's an exponential. Exponentials are something times something to the x. Growth or decay? Decay. Why? How do I know? That number is less than 1. When this number right here is less than 1, it's going to be decay. Because you told me, if I multiply by a number less than 1, I go down. How much decay? please don't say 83%. Addie?
Do we have to write down if it's exponential?
Yes, just say yes
Oh,
or no. 17%, very good. This is 17% decay. Diego was listening to me when I said, your rate of growth or decay is how much more than 1 or less than 1 this number is. How much less than 1 is this number? 0.17. This is not 83% decay. This is 17% decay. Because this number is 1 minus 0.17. It's 100 minus 17%. Noah?
How do you know if these are exponential? Like,
Does it fit this pattern? Is it something
Yes.
times something? Then it's a yes.
okay, so
It's
pretty much
it's
all
that
these.
easy.
Okay, got it.
No, they're not all.
No.
All right, let's look at C. Is C exponential? No, because what does an exponential absolutely have to have? An exponent, that is x. The only x in this equation, guys, is right here. You are not going to be exponential unless your x is the exponent. Okay? All right, so C's a no. All right, what about D? Yes, because it's something times something to the x. A times B to the x. Growth or decay? Growth. How much growth? What percentage? 2% growth. Absolutely. And what's my initial value? 100. Oh, I think I forgot that up here. The initial value of this one was 1/2. All right, how about E? No way. Why not? Got too many x's. If you're going to be exponential, where is your only x? Exponent. Right. So I don't know what that one is. C would be a parabola. I don't know what E is. Some very strange thing. All right. What about F? F is a yes. It is an exponential. Growth or decay? Decay. And what percent decay? 8%. Very good. Very, very good.
Do we have to write in our initial value, like for our
So
answers?
now it says, what is the initial value? State the initial value. So the initial value is 3.6. So that means that I'm starting, whatever this is, let's say it's 3.6 pounds. I'm starting with 3.6 pounds, and every day I'm losing 8% of it. That would be an example of what's going on in here. All right, now number 2 says, okay, write your own exponential equation. So start, please write this down. This is what an exponential looks like. So you are going to write your own equation. They have given you 2 points. These can get wild and wacky, but not the way I'm going to give them to you, because I am always going to give you one of your points is going to have a 0, and that's going to make our problem a lot easier. Start by plugging in the point that has a 0. Okay? So keep in mind, this is x and this is y. I'm going to plug it in my format. So 2 equals a times b to the 0. See what I did? I just put my y in and I put my x in. Now, what do I know about this right here? That's 1. So if that's 1, then don't I know my initial value? Right? Is it my initial value 2? So now I can go back and put 2 in for A. So now I know that A is 2. I figured that out. Always start with the point that has a 0. Okay? Now, go to the other point. Put 6 in for Y and 1 in for X. So again, I'm going back to my equation. I'm putting in Y and I'm putting in X. All right, now I need to solve that, so what am I going to do? Oh, exactly. You guys, this is the equation 6 equals 2b. You need to be able to solve that equation, okay? No ifs, ands, or buts, no sympathy. I shouldn't have to show you that. That is like a first grade equation. B equals 2, or 3. B equals 3. So what is my equation then? Remember, it looks like this. Y equals 2 times 3 to the x. Never, ever, ever combine these two numbers. You can't. Remember, your format is 2 separate numbers. 2 times 3 to the x. That's the way we write our answer. Well, guess what? There's some more of those. So let's get started on B. So I'm going to, reminder, I'm going to put my format up here, my little formula, or whatever you want to call it. That's what exponentials look like. You guys know how lines are y equals mx plus b? Okay, that's the same idea here. This is an exponential, and it's always going to be y equals a times b to the x. Now, we're going to start by plugging in a y and an x. And which y and x am I going to start with? The first one. Always start, it's doable the other way, but it just makes your life so much easier if you start with the point with a 0. So 1/2 equals a times b to the 0th. Remember, I'm plugging in x and y. Okay, so what's b in the 0th? So isn't a 1/2? Is that right? So now my equation is y equals 1/2 d to the x. I still need to figure out what b is. So now I'll go back to my other point. 8 equals 1/2 b to the second. All right, how do I solve that? How about timesing by 2, right? So 16 equals b squared. Multiply both sides by 2. And then square root. So b equals 4. And then my answer is y equals 1/2 times 4 to the x. And once again, never ever combine these two numbers. They have to stay separate because that one has an x. They're two separate things. All right, you getting the hang of it? All right, let's try C. See if you can, see how far you can get by yourself with C. You know the format you're shooting for. hopefully you know which point to start with, right?
Friends, we have 22 minutes. Try to accomplish as much as you can.
Yes, I got some of that blue stuff in my coat today. All right, so 6 equals A times B to the 0, which tells me what? A is 6. Now, some of you are probably noticing something. What has happened in the 3 problems we've done so far? Hasn't A just turned out to be this number every time? That will always be the case, always. So you can skip that step as far as I'm concerned, because it's always, the y-intercept is always gonna be A.
Even though that number will be like 0, even if 0 wasn't, say,
No, I said the y-intercept, so it's gotta have a 0 there.
okay,
That's the only way it's gonna work, but I'm always gonna give you a 0.
okay.
Okay? That number's always the y-intercept. The y-intercept is the initial value. Always, always, always. So, your equation looks like this. 6b to the x. So now we plug in 3/8 equals 6 times b to the 4th. So you can multiply by 8 if you wish. So that would give me 3 equals 48b to the 4th. That might be easier for you. However, what am I looking for? Ultimately, what do I want to know? What's b? So don't I ultimately need to get b by itself? So now I can divide by 48. Anybody know what 3 over 48 is? That reduces. 3 goes into 48 how many times? 16 times. So this reduces to 1/16. Now over here somewhere, you told me that to get b by itself, I square rooted. So what am I going to do here? To get b by itself, I'm going to have to 4th root. And then I'm going to ask myself, what times itself 4 times gives me 16? That's what this means. 2 times 2 times 2 times 2. The 4th root of 16 is 2. You should probably know that. That's kind of a popular number, but the 4th root of 16, kind of like the cube root of 27 is 3, the cube root of 27 is 3. So anyway, b is 1/2, so what's my answer? Y equals 6 times 1/2 to the x. Arithmetic is unavoidable, guys. Quit being chickens and jump in and deal with it. You are capable. You are capable. Okay? I am not going to shortcut this. I know what my A is going to be. What is my A going to be? 10. I'm going to go ahead and work it out. So 10 equals A times B to the 0. You don't have to do this. I'm the teacher, so I do it all. You don't have to. You know A is going to be 10. Sure enough, it is, right? Because that's 1. Okay? Now, 80 27ths equals 10 times b to the 3rd.
Oh.
Right? do, kind of like, what Kaylee did before. She said, let's times by 27 to get rid of the fraction. And that arithmetic's easy because it's just 27 times 10.
Divide it and
And then divide by the 270 to get my b cubed all by itself. Does this reduce at all?
Yes.
Isn't that 8 over 27? Can I cancel those 10s? Right? Now, how do I get b by itself? What do I need to do? Cube root. Okay, you need to know these. What's the cube root of 8? 2. What's the cube root of 27? 3. 3 times 3 times 3. So b is 2/3. I'm sure you looked at those original numbers and thought, oh my gosh, but it worked out nicely. So my answer is y equals 10 times 2/3 to the x. Okay. All right. Now we're going to talk about simplifying exponents without a calculator. So we're going to start with all of these fractional exponents. This is really easy once we get the hang of it. A fractional exponent, an exponent that is a fraction, always means a radical. A fractional exponent is a radical. So every time I see one of these, my brain is going to think radical. This number, not the exponent, the big number, goes under the radical. Now, what do I do with that exponent? The denominator tells me which root I am taking. So since this is a 1/3 exponent, this is going to be a cube root problem. The numerator tells me what power I am going to raise my answer to. So I'm going to take the cube root of 8, which is 2, and I'm going to raise it to the first power, so the answer is just 2. All right, so what about the next one? What am I going to do? The denominator tells you the root that you're taking. The numerator tells you the power that you're going to. So this is the 4th root of 16, which is 2. Guys, we're doing this without a calculator. You're going to do it without a calculator. So the numbers are going to be nice and small and things you should know. 4th root of 16 is 2, because 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 is 16. Then, so that's 2, and then we're raising it to the first power, so again, the answer is 2. Alright, okay. Here's my radical with my 8 inside. The denominator tells me the power, so this is going to be another, or tells me the root. This is going to be another cube root problem. And then the numerator tells me that when I get my answer, this time I'm actually going to square it. Square it, that's a power. So what's the cube root of 8? 2, and 2 squared is, so your answer's 4. It's so easy once you get the hang of it. Alright, so what does this one say? 4 through the 16 cubed. Okay, so what's the 4 through the 16? So we already talked about it. 4 through the 16 is 2, and 2 cubed is 8. Now, I just did column 1, A, B, C, D. Would you take a minute and see if you can get E, F, G, and H? See if you can get any of those or all of them. And then we'll go through them together. There are a whole bunch of you in here today wearing coats and things you're not supposed to be wearing. There will be no warning going forward. I just simply writing fractions every single time. So, I'm not gonna fight this all winter. If you're cold, I get it. I totally get it. You never go anywhere with a high trusty sweater. But you got sweatshirt options. Wear a sweatshirt. By the way, your tests are graded and in the grade book if you've taken it. Some of you did super well. All right, let's see what you got for the first one. First of all, guys, we're gonna be looking at all kinds of exponents. You have got to program yourself. When you see a fractional exponent, you're immediately gonna think radical. Immediately, you're gonna think radical. And then under the radical is gonna go whatever the base of the exponent is. All right, is everybody with me? Then you gotta deal with the exponent. So remember, the denominator always tells you the root that you are taking. So this is a cube root to the 4th power. Cube root to the 4th power. What's a cube root of 8? 2. And 2 to the 4th is 16. It's 2 times 2 times 2 times 2. You can do that. You don't have to memorize. You can do that. All right, so what does this one say? Square root of 16. So what's the square root of 16? 4. And 4 cubed is 64. Perfect. Perfect. All right, what's this one say? Square root of 9 cubed. Well, the square root of 9 is 3, and 3 cubed is 27. You don't need a calculator, you got this. What does this one say? Square root of 25 to the 1st. So the answer is just 5. Did anybody get through all those on your own and get them all right? Good, good, good. Okay, let's see what's in store on the next page. Uh-oh. I told you we're going to deal with all kinds of exponents. So you are going to program your brain every time you see a fractional exponent, you're going to translate it into a radical. Every time. Okay? Now, what am I doing with negatives? Anybody remember? You move it to the bottom. So this becomes 1 over 4 squared. when something has a negative exponent, you literally move it to the bottom of the fraction, make it 1 over. Well, what's 4 squared? So your answer is 1/16. Five to the negative first. 1 over 5 to the first, which is 1 over 5. Two times 3 to the negative second. Now be careful here. Does that 2 have a negative exponent? No, so he's just saying 2. He's not doing it, he's saying. But what's this become? 1 over 3 squared, which is 1 over 9. 2 over 1 times 1 over 9 is 2 nines. So the 3 became 1 over, but not the 2. The 2 stayed because it doesn't have a negative exponent. Uh-oh. What about this next one? What do I do when it's already 1 over? Flip it back over. Exactly. So this is going to be 4 squared. Basically, a negative exponent flips you. So a 4 becomes a 1/4, but a 1/4 would become a 4. So you flip whatever you start with. So the answer to this problem would be 16. That is exactly right, Kaylee. That is going to become 3 over 2 to the third. Now, why is it 3 over 2? Well, what does a negative exponent do? It flips you. It flips you. So 4 over 1 becomes 1 over 4. So 2 over 3 becomes 3 over 2. And when you flip, your exponent becomes positive. The whole point is to get a positive exponent. So you flip it. Now, cubing a fraction means you have to cube the top and cube the bottom. So what's 3 to the third? 27. And what's 2 to the third? You gotta do both parts, both parts. The negative exponent flips your fraction. We did this at the beginning of the year. With negatives, I don't think we had fractions like it. 1/2 times 5 to the negative first. So this guy, don't do anything to him. He's 1/2. What happens to 5 to the negative first? 1/5? So now I'm multiplying 1/2 times 1/5. Negative exponents flip you. So 5 over 1 becomes 1 over 5. What happens when I multiply these straight across? I get 1 over 10. Kind of the same problem. 1/2 doesn't change. But what happens to this guy? He flips and becomes 5 over 1. So that answer is 5/2. Problem H, last one. Somebody tell me the answer. 3 to the negative
1 over 81.
1 over 81. 1 over 81. 3 to the fourth is 81 because it's 3 times 3 times 3 times 3. Wait. One more problem. together now, take a second. I should make this your exit ticket and not let you out of the room till you get it right. 8 to the negative 2/3. Now, I didn't tell you this before. There's two things going on. First of all, you have a negative exponent and a fraction, right? Always take care of the negative first, okay? So what does a negative exponent do to an 8?
Good afternoon,
Makes it
people.
1/8
Just like I said yesterday, there is
to the 2/3?
2 hours of sunlight left, so get on out of here. That goes for the adults too. Get some free vitamin
1
D.
over the cube
Hey,
root
let's
of
pray
8
in
squared.
the Holy Crossing Cathedral tradition, shall we? Please join me in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Hail the cross.
Oh,
The
I
Holy
know.
Ghost, with her leading,
You shall not tire. Wait.
in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy